All about a few 40s that have changed the complexion of this game. 46 in the last 2 overs, 49 for Sam Curran, 41 for Shahrukh Khan. In the middle of that, 44 for Jitesh Sharma. After at one stage, there were 4 for 50 with the Punjab Kings, looking like it's going to be almost a timid, insignificant game. It's up and alive at the moment. So we look back at that innings on Visit Saudi presents ESPN Cricket and Footy T20 Time out. Messrs Moody and Manjrekar still in studio with me. And 187 is a lot closer to the 188 that Sanjay Manjrekar predicted. A man with such precision. And it wasn't necessarily the 200 surface. You were right, Sanjay, weren't you? As always.
Yes, shouldn't surprise you.
It shouldn't. But did the surface surprise you in some ways? We thought we might get a bit of a hangover of the 200, 400 game that we saw between Punjab and Delhi. Is this not as good a surface, and what do you make of this score?
Difficult to know what the surface is. Let's see in the second half, you know, theoretically it gets a little easier, so we'll see how that goes. But interesting, when you watch the whole innings and then you wonder why in this day and age with impact subs you don't have a 6th bowling option. Titans did that very early at the start of the IPL. They had Yash Dayal bowling that final over because they had no other choice, and he'd gone for runs before that over as well, and he conceded the famous 30 runs in the last over for Rinku Singh to create history. So when you have an impact sub option, most teams have, you know, good 6 bowling options, but Rajasthan Royals pack their side with batters. They're not concerned about how many runs the opposition get. They feel they have enough batting to get there quickly, thereby addressing the net run rate. But this is the flip side. When you're a bowler short, which meant that Chahal bowled the 19th, and that is one of the reasons why captains are also not very keen to get a spinner to bowl the 18th or 19th, because a top class spinner bowled well, but if a batter in that kind of mood, serious damage happens. Okay, so a lot of points covered there which we'll go deeper into.
Let's hold on to the finish from Shahrukh and Sam Curran. It was very good. But since Sanjay raises the question about Rajasthan's limitations with their bowling, it seems like a bankable theory they went with, Tom, 5 bowlers and 5 bowlers will do the job. It's not one that's worked more often than it hasn't. Is it something that they could possibly revisit looking at the season going forward? What do you make of the 5 bowling options today for Rajasthan?
Yeah, I totally agree. I can understand it when you have the restrictions of playing 11 and that's it, and you back 5 high quality bowling options. But even then, you always want that 6th half bowler just in case. You know, let's say, for instance, Trent Boult does a hamstring second over. Yeah. You know, or you know, there's all sorts of circumstances. In this case, it's a case of we're just giving you a few more options, so it allows you to be a bit more flexible, you know, down towards the back end of the innings. It puzzles me that you can't, within your squad, find that flexibility to give you the options as a captain on the field of play. It must be difficult for Sanju Samson, you know, only having that 5. But then on the flip side of that, you can see teams that have too many options, and they then take the wrong options because, oh, is it this one or this one? And, you know, it's sometimes better to be narrowed down with, I think 6 is the ideal number.
Yeah, well, they didn't have that option today. They could have chosen an Akash Vashisht, who's a domestic all-rounder, but they went back to Riyan Parag. Sanjay Manjrekar makes the point of their best hitters or their best batters in a game where net run rate was always going to be important. So it's something that we'll have perhaps more in detail a conversation about for the Rajasthan Royals, looking at whether this is going to be now another unsuccessful season for them. Well, they did make the final last year, but they would have liked to make the playoffs. Let's talk about Punjab's finish, though. And that was a good finish by Shahrukh Khan, and we've seen the best of Shahrukh Khan, Tom. A big money player. He's an enigma of sorts. Sometimes he doesn't get more than 2 or 3 balls. Sometimes he doesn't bat at all. And I don't know how much last innings will play a factor in deciding the future and fate of some players. Shahrukh Khan's tournament has effectively come to an end now, you'd think. But at least he's ended it with an innings to service scores.
Well, I think this stage perfectly suits him. Small ground, a good wicket to bat on, an attack that doesn't have high pace, and he can do his thing and just hit the ball out of the ground. But it was a very good knock because it got them to, you know, probably 15 more than what they looked like they were going to get. So we've got to give him credit there. You've still got to do it, and he did it against, you know, some quality leg spin bowling. But the one I'd like to sort of highlight is Jitesh Sharma. I was so disappointed when he got out because I just think he's been a real find this year in the IPL and for Punjab. I just love the way he goes about his instinctive game. He can go from ball one, but he had an opportunity tonight to show India and the cricketing world that I'm more than just a 30-40 quick run scorer. I can actually get a 70, if not an 80, bless you. So I was just so disappointed, and I think Wasim Jaffer, the Punjab batting coach, was equally disappointed because he actually met him at the boundary line, I noticed, and had a word to him. Whether that was well played, which I think is unlikely, I think it was more like, you've missed a chance here. You've missed a massive chance.
Yeah. Whatever the story of Punjab may be this year, and it won't be a happy one, but Jitesh Sharma seems to be the find for them, and as Tom says, he now takes his case even on perhaps a level or two higher for things to come.
And this is where the selectors have to be, show their ability to pick talent. And that's one of the reasons you have people who play the game become selectors, because he's not an eye-catching talent. There have been quite a few young players who've caught everyone's eye. Everybody's talking about them. They're in the spotlight. But this guy, when you look at effectiveness of a batter down at a number which is a difficult number to bat, plus a keeper as well, he's a serious contender to be, a T20 international keeper batter, purely because the difficult job that he has done so well. Consistency is the final sort of yardstick to judge a good T20 player. Beg your pardon. Bless you, beg your pardon. So Jitesh Sharma is one who has shown that he has that ability to contribute consistently. His strike rate is always impressive, but to do it match after match that he has done this season, that's all.
I think it's a nice conversation to have in terms of the kind of people you pick for this difficult role, possibly the most difficult role in the game, and most successful franchises outsource this to their overseas player, whether it's an Andre Russell or a Pollard over the years, or Tim David this year, and others perhaps.
David Miller.
We also see the other side to it, where you have a lot of young Indian domestic players doing it. Dhruv Jurel, Abdul Samad. That's why it's a tough role, and they're always under the scanner. Jitesh Sharma is 29. He is an uncapped player who is perhaps in his domestic maturity. And we talk about leg spinners and say how they get better with age. But I wonder if there is a connection between an aging, well, I'm not calling him old, but a senior 29-year-old finisher, and that perhaps allows him to succeed more at that difficult position.
One of the things that you need to have is game awareness, street smart, anticipating a bowler as to what the variations are likely to be. And he doesn't have the big game, as in he's not somebody who's going to hit the ball out of the stands. You have a Shahrukh Khan, who you think that if you get a little more quality and trickery in your bowling, you can control Shahrukh Khan. But Jitesh Sharma seems to be a guy who knows what's happening around, just the way he bats. As I said before, he's not eye-catching or stylish to look at, so the talent is not obvious. But I think there's something special there with Jitesh Sharma, purely on the numbers. Nobody can get these kind of innings, match after match. So one has to look at him differently as somebody who's got an exceptional, eye.
Yeah, I mean, both him and Tewati are 29. You perhaps think whether this could be the next way some franchises look. Let's try and get a seasoned domestic player who has game awareness. I don't know if you can find that in a net session or in a in a scouting session, and say maybe this is what finishers will be.
Possibly. You're quite right in saying earlier that a lot of franchises do tend to have a young, talented player trying to fill those big shoes, and it's very difficult. And the reason they find themselves in that position is because they're front-loaded with overseas players and high-quality Indian international players. So therefore, the only spot to put a Samad or whoever it might be is, let's just put him at 7. We rate him, but he can hit the ball cleanly. I think it's definitely worth a consideration, the point you make, that you do look at the more mature player that has been around the block a few times and understands the game. As you mentioned, Sanjay, that the street smartness is so critical in that role. And I don't think he was that smart today. He could have been smarter because he missed a chance there to really stamp his name, on a potential upgrade opportunity. But it's a lot easier for someone that has had the highs and lows that the game can throw at you. And that's the most challenging thing. It's not so much the technical, it's the mental side of the game. And when you're a more mature player, you've been there and done it. You've had your setbacks, but you've learned how to recover from those setbacks, and you're stronger mentally.
You're seeing that with bowlers, right? Bowlers who are bowling in difficult positions, time, they are managing it. The Chawlas and Chahal we saw, and Sandeep Sharma in the death. So somewhere, yeah.
And just one other point around age. 29's, it is well into the journey of his career, but just remind you of a player in Australia that just started his international career at 29 was Mike Hussey.
Yeah.
That seemed to work out okay.
Yeah. Jitesh Sharma is ready for India. In particular, if you look at the Dinesh Karthik role that they went to a seasoned player for, he's ready for that role right away.
Yeah, Dinesh Karthik, we finally realized that his great danger was going in and not playing more than 10, 15 deliveries and make his impact and show, what he can do. I think Jitesh Sharma is more than a 15, 20 cameo batter. He's an ideal number 6 keeper batter.
Should be in India's team next time to play T20I.
Actually, he should seriously be discussed, because there are quite a few options there with keeper batters. The Sanju Samson, the Ishan Kishan that come to mind. And in that comparison, Jitesh Sharma may not get the attention as much, or may not be looked at as keenly. But if you look at the numbers and his returns carefully, you see that there is a lot of value that he adds to a team. So, surely.
I think a lot of it depends on the balance of the side too. What role you're needing to fill. He's got a specific role that he does very well, which is a hard role, which is batting 6 or 7 in that sort of finishing role. Or you've got other options, as you mentioned, Sanju Samson, Ishan Kishan, KL Rahul, all players, but they're all top 3 players.
So that's where Raunak's point is a good one, that if you're going to bat somebody at the difficult position at number 6 or 7, you can't have a youngster like a Dhruv Jurel, who obviously has the potential, maybe the striking ability, but you've got to be a hard nut, to be handling that pressure.
You also feel like with people like Tewatia, with the way he talks, we haven't heard as much from Jitesh Sharma, but they've seen highs and lows already.
He's played
in domestic
close
cricket.
to 100 T20 matches. Jitesh Sharma plays for.
So they've already seen the chance. They almost feel like if you're an Indian batter in India, your chances between 19 and 22. The minute you go 24, 25, then everyone's looking at the next 20-year-old. So all of a sudden they've seen that, and now they've found a way to become relevant.
And that should be the whole purpose of the IPL
30s.
in the end, that IPL performances need to be recognized by the selectors when they're picking an Indian T20 side. He was the 3rd highest run getter in the Mushtaq Ali tournament as well, got 100 there too. So the returns are there. He's showing that, he is doing the stuff. Let's not see how he's doing it, or the aura of the person, because Ishan Kishan obviously does it a little more sensational, but as you mentioned, he's in a different position. So
I mean, he's a good story, Jitesh Sharma, of someone who reinvented his domestic priorities, decided not to play red ball cricket, moved Ranji teams or moved domestic teams, and played this role only, and took the gloves, perhaps eyeing that this might be the likeliest chance to make a claim for an India cap. So of course now he's at Vidarbha, but he has had his share of moving formats and positions to play this very role. When you move teams, I wonder if you've ever sensed that if this player had this performance for another franchise, would he perhaps catch more eyes? Had Jitesh Sharma not had this season for Punjab Kings, but had he had it for Mumbai Indians or for CSK, then suddenly we'd all be going, oh, right, this guy's ready for India.
I think that is the case in any sport, anywhere in the world. There are certain franchises, again, doesn't have to be cricket, that if you're playing for that side, for some reason, there's more eyeballs on you, and there's more hype around you, more media attention and more momentum. And there's also generally players that are influential with regards to, hey, you see this guy, he can play, to the selectors and to the coach and so on and so forth. And suddenly, that name from being 3rd on the list suddenly works its way up to 1st on the list.
And that is why I mentioned very early in the show, it's about the selectors being very smart. They should not be looking at only the top franchises that have done well, but just look for talent and visualize that talent at the international level. And
they always said in Australia, the easiest way to get a baggy green is to go to New South Wales and play
Yes.
for New South Wales. That's always been the saying for many, many years.
A lot of people believe Mumbai was that kind of a
Sure.
team in India.
I mean,
Maybe not
there's-
anymore, but
There was a case
there was
also
a
in
time.
Virat Kohli's captaincy career where RCB seemed to be your best chance if
Hmm.
you went there. Imagine Ditesh having this season at RCB perhaps, and it's a different game. Shall we end on the extremely, almost what's a criminal note that he's on 20 lakhs? A player that
look,
was picked up a few years ago.
Yeah, you've got to give credit to recruitment.
Mm.
Simple as that. That's good recruiting. You know, he'll have his payday.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. He's 29. He's going to have a big payday next time round.
All right. As it turns out, one of the exciting cases and points of the young player who could, jump the queue, who already has jumped the queue, is already out there. Yashasvi Jaiswal's there, Josh Butler's there. And you sense the Rajasthan Royals have a lot riding on their top two. If A, they're going to chase this down, B, they're going to chase this down in good time to give themselves as much of a chance if results do go their favor over the next couple of days. Let's see if it's going to be a Rajasthan win, whether they can actually think about a charge. Sanjay Manjrekar?
Yes, I think Rajasthan Royals should win this. Just the state that they are in. Somebody like Butler, who's had a quiet couple of matches, I think this is the right time for him to explode. There was a time, if you remember, he got 3 consecutive Player of the Match awards and took Rajasthan Royals into
Almost
the
single-handedly to the playoffs.
yeah,
yes.
from a position where they had no chance. So,
They can't bat for the other teams that they also need to
yeah,
have go their way.
Correct.
But I don't think this is going to be as easy as we might think, because I don't see Rabada bowling as badly as he did the previous night. And he didn't bowl badly, but he got his length completely wrong. And if he gets his length right on this surface, he can be a major threat because he is world class. And we know that. And Ashdeep, if he actually bowls more than 2 overs, I think that helps as well. I think Punjab have got a strong bowling attack, so this is going to be a tough.
Yeah, I'm just
tough
basing
chase.
my prediction on the fact that it's a small ground and the fact that they're batting second in a night game, which is always, I feel.
You don't have to defend yourself.
Yeah. An apology for getting that prediction on the total wrong by 1 run. Feeling really bad about it.
Take the
It's
wins
that
when you
high
get them. You
standard.
don't get them that often.
This is the kind of conversation that might as well happen when we stop the show. So allow me. Join us at the end of the game on Visit Saudi Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout. We'll have plenty to look back on as the curtains will come down. You think for the Punjab Kings, regardless of the result, because it will be a close win. You don't see them winning this by that much. And on the other hand, Rajasthan Royals, if they do get the win, regardless, we'll show you the points table scenarios. We'll discuss that with Tom and Sanjay. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be right here. See you at the end of the game.